He thought his neighbor was just a quiet old man, until the news that morning changed everything. Ethan had lived next door to Mr. Harris for almost 3 years. The man barely spoke. He'd nod politely when their eyes met, water his garden at sunrise, and disappear back into his house before anyone else was awake. No family ever visited, no mail ever piled up, just a calm, silent life behind drawn curtains. Ethan never thought much of it, until that one morning. He was sipping his coffee, scrolling through the local news, when a headline made his hand freeze midair. War hero found dead in small-town suburb, lived in silence for decades. The photo below the headline hit him like a shockwave. It was Mr. Harris. Ethan's coffee slipped from his hand and shattered on the floor. He stared at the screen again, that wrinkled face, those same tired eyes, and couldn't believe it. The article said the old man had once been a decorated soldier, a man who saved dozens during a war overseas. But after returning, he had vanished, changed his name, and lived quietly in their town for more than 40 years. Ethan couldn't focus for the rest of the morning. Guilt tugged at him. All those times he waved half-heartedly, never once stopping to ask the man about his life. That evening, the neighborhood was strangely quiet. A few police cars were parked outside Mr. Harris's home. The small gate, always closed, now stood open. Something made Ethan walk toward it. A kind-faced officer was talking to a few neighbors. Ethan hesitated, then asked softly, Did he leave anything behind?" The officer nodded. "Just some old photos, medals, and a letter. Said it was addressed to whoever lived next door." Ethan's heart pounded. "That's me." The officer handed him a folded envelope, yellowed at the edges. Ethan took it carefully and stepped aside to read. Inside, in shaky handwriting, were the words, "To my neighbor, I know I didn't say much, but I've watched you grow, struggle, and keep going. Reminded me of myself, many years ago. I've lived long enough to know silence can hide pain, but it can also protect peace. I hope you find both, without waiting as long as I did." Ethan swallowed hard, blinking back tears. Inside the envelope was also an old photograph, a group of soldiers, standing in muddy boots, smiling despite the chaos behind them. Mr. Harris was in the center, holding a flag, his arm around a younger man who looked eerily like Ethan. On the back, written in faded ink, were 4 words: "Find your purpose, early." That night, Ethan sat on his porch, staring at the dim light still glowing inside the old man's house. He realized he'd lived next to history, to a man who had seen the worst of the world and still found a way to grow flowers every morning. A few days later, the town held a small memorial for Mr. Harris. Ethan stood quietly at the back, clutching the letter. When it was his turn, he stepped forward and placed a single white rose by the frame. He whispered, "You weren't just my neighbor. You were a lesson I didn't know I needed." As he walked back home, the morning light broke through the clouds, spilling softly over the empty garden next door. The wind moved through the flowers like a silent salute. Sometimes the quietest people carry the loudest stories. We just have to listen before it's too late. If this story touched your heart, hit the like button and subscribe for more real, emotional stories that remind us how every stranger has a story worth hearing. Tell me, have you ever met someone who surprised you with their past?